everyone. Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome to another Monday. So we have a couple of announcements that I'll let you read. And then we have quite a few discussion items. So let's kick off. Firstly, I want to say thanks everyone for all the work last week to get through all the security release improvements super quickly. So yeah, much appreciated. And hopefully that sets us up for a much smoother security release next time round. On Thursday, Skarbek and I are attending a retro around that release. So we will cover, I think, kind of the main points that got raised last week. But if there's anything specific you do want us to make sure we bring up there, then just give us a shout and we can represent. Awesome. So B, I want to see what you all think. So I know there's been a lot of discussions going on around incidents and severity of incidents, and also the fact that, I mean, like Ahmad, I don't know how many times you've been asked recently, but like every time we raise an incident, people question like, what's the impact of being an S2? And the reason a lot of that's coming about is because of just the number of incidents happening and the fact that S2s are blocking for feature flags and other changes. Now, the reason it has always been like that is because of the risk. So when we have got an incident running, we are in a state where we can't deploy code, and therefore, if something does happen, we're not in a very good position to respond to that. So I wanted to hear what your thoughts are around a proposal to alter this. Now, my kind of hope is that by shifting the message, we might be able to kind of get better support on the incidents that really matter for us. So my proposal is perhaps consider that we make deployment-related incidents an S3 unless they affect production, and that includes Canary, or they impact in some way like hold up or include a critical commit, and allow a critical commit to be defined by the release manager. So that may be that you want to get something to production in order to do a patch release or the monthly release, or it could be that you know, there's a long-running post-deployment migration or something you want to push through, or something else that you deem to be needing an S2. And the pros around this are we may reduce the number of incidents that are kind of going to the engineer call, and therefore hopefully the ones that really matter, we may be able to actually kind of really highlight the visibility. But the cons is it could actually make it harder to get help from quality and development because it'll only be an S3 incident. So we may find that actually response rate goes down. So thoughts, Henry, do you want to verbalize?
Yeah, I think it's good to have deployment-related incidents opened as S2 because it signals to other people in the company that something needs to be done. And this also causes some pain because we block ourselves deployments with an S2, but we also block things like feature flag changes, for instance, or change requests. And so people actually in this case feel there's something broken and we maybe need to have a look because it's in our interest. And if we don't do this, it will mostly end up with us being the main driver for fixing this. And the second thing is that I think these concepts of severity and if something should be blocking maybe are orthogonal in many cases. Like it's good to have a severity, but this can mean a lot of things. And not in all cases it needs to be blocking, right? Because it can be severe of other reasons, but not because we need to block deployments or feature flag changes or something else. So I would like to have something like a label which is called, I don't know, non-blocking or non-deployment blocking or non-feature flag blocking, which can be added to an incident with an S2 or S1, just to signal this is a high severity incident, but it shouldn't block feature flag changes or it shouldn't block deployments, for instance. I think that would make us more flexible, would be easy to use. Just an idea.
On the same vein as Henry, sometimes we have change requests that are affecting production, but since they are C2, they automatically block feature flags on staging, and they shouldn't have. And the same thing happens backwards, right? We have change requests that are severity 2 for staging, blocking production, when that doesn't make a lot of sense. So if we could have like a label for staging only, like this is only blocking staging, but not blocking production, that will make it more flexible. And regarding your proposal, Amy, if I understood it correctly, then we will have S3 incidents that are associated to staging and staging canary only, right?
Yes, correct, yes.
I think it could work. It would worry me a bit that we are not getting enough attention if we label it as S3, that we might not get quality on board or development on board, and that will make the incident to be basically on us, which is something that we want to try to avoid.
What do you reckon, Ahmad? Do you think it would help, would having some of them as S3 and being able to say this one is an S2, do you think that would help us get more support? I think you've probably been on the receiving end of a lot of the ones I've seen recently.
I'm thinking about it like the issue is most of the, like, I don't want to say like most, but like, unfortunately, it's most of them are QA jobs failing. Like it's not frequent that we get Gitali or Kubernetes, and even though these situations, it's blocking, right? It's we need someone to basically jump in. But with QA, this I have no clue like what to do. Sometimes when I try, it works, and sometimes someone say, okay, like we need QA like to have a look, and then I'm not entirely sure if we can make it market as S3 and continue deployment or not. With this, if we basically like, if it's dangerous or not, this I don't know.
I would
But
assume
like,
it is, because we can't possibly know. So I assume it is.
so yeah, like then I reckon then like the current situation is like is better like marking it as like S2 or like something like to basically block deployment is better, because most of the issues are coming from QA jobs actually.
So the pipelines will still be failed, like not to negate your comment at all, like the pipelines would still be blocked by a failing test. Though the S2 incident wouldn't be the thing that's blocking the deployment, but okay, as long as you're still like, I suppose so there are two things in here, and I think Henry kind of touched on the other aspect, which is certainly the other piece we need to do, which is having more flexibility, or giving the engineer on call, I think, more flexibility, so that when an incident is in action, they actually have a bit more control over saying, am I okay with other changes taking place? So can CRs take place? Can deployments take place? And have some sort of mechanism, labels probably, to control that. Does anyone have any ideas around what, if anything, can we do to improve kind of help? Because I definitely see there are quite a lot of times where we raise an S2 incident and you get asked, why is this an S2? Like, I'm kind of, I guess I'm curious, like, how frequently is that happening? And has anyone got any ideas on how we can actually reduce it? You have to keep on kind of justifying these.
I don't feel that we should need to justify why a deployment problem is an S2. I don't think it's asked often, but normally when I create an incident, which I haven't done so for a while, I'll usually just note either on the Slack channel or quickly on the incident declaration that I don't need EOC or CMOC assistance, and I'll start pinging the QA persons directly as necessary. That helps eliminate some of that conversation pretty quickly. Still with the side effect of, blocking feature flags and such.
And are you able to get help later if you need it?
Well, it's always been QA related, so usually they jump
Correct.
on pretty quickly and they're pretty helpful from what I've seen.
Great.
I've never had to go back to the EOC, be like, hey,
Right.
Now,
Okay.
now it's the problem I need your help with, or something to that effect.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, in which case, that is super helpful. So thank you. I will not change this. So continue deployment related instance will all remain as S2. And what I will do is have I will continue. I have an action from the kind of infrastructure management meeting to actually think about the other piece, which Henry mentioned, which is around how do we separate these things out a little bit. And then the piece that goes alongside that is also around how can we give engineers on call better like visibility so that deployments are not necessarily assumed to be the cause of like new changes or new problems happening in production, how we can actually get better visibility of like where we're up to on the deployments and how that's affecting things. Because as we start to increase deployments over this year again, we are probably not that far away from more or less always running something. And at that point, right, we don't necessarily want to be permanently blocking deployments to investigate things. Awesome. Great. Are there any final comments and things on that? Awesome. Thank you very much. So Myra, over to you.
Yep, thank you, Amy. So you have probably heard about the new order of the coordinated pipeline, and that we are doing this to account for mixed deployment testing. So I just want you to be aware of what is the new order and how is it going to look. First of all, I think we all know that the coordinated pipeline goes like, first is staging canary, then staging, then post-deployment migrations in staging, then production canary, then production, and then post-deployment migrations in production. There are a lot of nuts and bolts there, a lot of missing details, but this is like the big picture. And now with this change, it is going to look like this. I'm gonna share my screen. So, well, if you go to the issue, you can find this image. I'm assuming everyone can see my screen. If not, please say something. So it is going to start the same as usual, right? We have staging canary and a staging ref deployed at the same time. The only one blocking here is going to be a staging canary. Then we are going to deploy to production canary. After that, we are going to execute QA. These are the QA that we are executing right now. They don't change. They are the same. Just as a reminder, we execute 3 of them. We execute the full one. This one doesn't block. It takes around 1 hour or 1 hour and a half. Then we execute the smoke and the main one. These are blocking. Then we are going to execute baking time. It is going to last 30 minutes instead of 1 hour. That is going to change. Then we are going to move to the manual promotion. Now, this part is the kind of interesting one, because once we click on the manual promotion, it is going to do 2 things. First of all, it is going to automatically deploy to a staging. And then after 30 minutes, it is going to execute the production checks, the ones we have right now that check if the production held, if canary is up, and I think that's it. And then it is going to start the deployment to production. So that means that the deploying to staging and the deploy to production are going to be executed roughly at the same time. After these 2 deployments are finished, then the post-deployment migrations on the staging are going to be executed. Then Q&A on staging is going to be executed. In the staging, we only execute the smoke ones, which is blocking, and the full one, which is not blocking. And then finally, we are going to execute the post-deployment migrations on production. So this would be the new order. Questions?
I have one.
Yep.
What if the production checks fail? Then we will deploy to G-staging, but we will not deploy to production?
That is an excellent question, actually. In that case, we are probably going to roll back to staging. because what we aim is for the package in staging to be almost the same as the package in production. That's why we have the manual promotion job before these two jobs.
Okay, perfect. And the second question, like if the checks, production checks were just intermittently failing due to, you know, like hiccup or something, is there a retry mechanism for it?
Yeah, we can, this job should have like a retry button in which you can retry it.
Okay, thank you.
I also have a question. After the deployment to G-staging, we are not waiting for staging QA tests before we deploy to production, right?
We are not waiting for the staging queue. Well, yes, we are not.
Okay, got it. So we are mainly relying on staging and a canary, like QA and G-staging canary to signal us problems, as well as production canary to signal us problems, and not so much in the main stage anymore.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, good,
yes.
Got it.
Because we want to test the mixed deployment test, like earlier in the coordinated pipeline rather than late in the coordinated pipeline.
The most important thing then maybe is that we have enough traffic on Canary, right? To resemble the QA tests that we do in the main stages. I guess for most cases, it shouldn't be that relevant because they're QA tests, right? Yeah, right. It doesn't depend on traffic so much. Yeah, cool. Got it. Thanks.
Awesome.
Nice. Thanks for sharing that, Myra.
Yep, for sure. Okay. So this is a new order. I know it is like, well, a new order. I know that we are used to the old order. So because of it, we are going to roll it out very safely. And that's why we have the testing and rollout issue that is composed on 3 phases. The first one is to do an initial test of a simple package. And when I say simple package, I mean probably the coordinated pipeline is only going to have a documentation change or like fixing a typo or something that doesn't really matter when it is deployed. Something that it doesn't matter if it is going to fail because it is not going to affect like traffic or is not going to make any request. And this phase is basically just to test that the new order is actually working and that new jobs are actually working, just like some sort of safe check. Then the second phase is to update the auto-deploy processes to use this new order. And then the third one is to, well, basically to roll it out. We merge all the changes that are in a merge request into master. And that means that we are going to use this, well, new order forever or something like that. And when it comes to dates, we want to start with the phase 1 today, possibly at 21 UTC, roughly. So I need, of course, permission from release manager if that is okay with you.
Yes, this is perfectly fine. I support this. Let's rock this out, yo.
Awesome. Awesome. So that's all I got.
Awesome. Great stuff. And you have D as well.
All right, I also have the next point. We are getting closer to 15.0. And for those that don't know, the major releases are the only kind of releases in which we allow breaking changes. So this automatically makes a release kind of tricky. And last week, a person asked me if we already had like some guidelines to take care of how to introduce a breaking change. And I answered like, I don't know, I don't think we have guidelines already, right?
I suspect not. So, I mean, product usually lead on the kind of gathering these together, so I can go and see if they've got that issue up first. It would be best if product kind of gave the initial guidelines in terms of what, like how they want to handle it. I remember last year there was quite a lot of discussion around how they wanted to handle feature flag enablement through that month. But then, yeah, we should, before too long, get our issue prepared as well.
Yeah, I think it will be wise just to remind people that they should assume that every merge request merge is going to be deployed in the next 10 hours, that they need to over communicate on support and whatever.
Agreed, yes. Does somebody want to have a go at drafting up an issue for what to expect for 15.0?
I could do that.
Super, thanks very much. Great, thanks for bringing that up, Myra. Henry, do you want to verbalize?
I just wanted to quickly add a point here, because we know already that prefix configuration will be deprecated with 15.0, and we need to do a config update in gstage in production for that. So we have an issue for that already. But in the same vein, we should maybe check if there's something else which is getting deprecated and if we need to fix something. But I think this is the only one that we know about so far.
Yeah, if you have any ideas for a good way to check that, or if there's an issue we can just open up to check for those deprecations, then let's go ahead and do that.
I think in the AMER template for the monthly release, there's a point which is saying check for deprecations, and there's a link to the deprecation list in the GitLab project, where we really have a list of what is getting deprecated when. And the instruction also, I think, which is listed there, is to do something like grabbing through Chef if you find something which is having this name of the mentioned deprecated configuration. There's no easy receipt. You need to search a little bit if you find something in our configuration which might get deprecated. So this is a point already in the monthly release issue at the beginning.
Awesome. Great. So we are running quite close on time. So there was a lot of deployment blockers last week. So let's see. But MTTP is still looking. So I can log in. I usually do this earlier.
It's still looking okay from my vantage point. And Myra's been super helpful during my time zone and being able to hit an extra deploy for the day, since I'm usually ending my day a little bit earlier than Myra does. So that's been super helpful as well.
Awesome. Are there any actions or changes that you'd like to propose we prioritize to make release management easier?
I propose that we cancel all incidents and don't start any new ones.
Yep, please go ahead and action on that one. Thanks, Garbeck. Let us know when you've completed that action. Agreed. Like, we had a lot of blockers last week. So great work keeping MTTP down where it is. Awesome. So let me stop the recording.